Yeah, yeah. If you're doing a more of a visitor-based map, you would spend a lot more time customizing it. If it's something that is going to be like for use out in the field and you're going to Xerox it and stuff like that, then we actually at the UC Davis we went with black and white for our maps because it's cheap to print and cheap to reproduce. So, but more visitor-based things, you definitely you can get really carried away with colors and symbols.
Yeah, if you've got all the Magnolias map.
Yeah.
Inventory, and then if you could just spend some time prettying it up.
Sure, you can. I mean, and there's lots of different ways to categorize the symbols on your map. So you could symbolize them by genus or family if you wanted to, or we can do growth habits, or there's lots of different ways that you can symbolize those. More advanced stuff we actually do. You can categorize things a couple ways. You can categorize it by growth habit, and then scale the symbols by that size field that we have in there. So there's lots of different things that you can do. Okay, so to wrap up today, we kind of started today off with covering really basic kind of like what is GIS, how does ArcGIS Desktop work. We talked a little bit about the geodatabase and the different elements that go inside of it, and how the data model works. We learned how to download the data model, and if you're interested in downloading it for your own use, you can. That first page of the Alliance for Public Gardens GIS website, just click on that and it takes you right to the spot to register and download it. We learned how to do what's called heads-up digitizing, so using an aerial photograph to draw in features on the map. We learned how to take all that stuff from ArcGIS Desktop and put it into ArcPad so that we could take it out in the field. And then we put all that information into a collection map. So we covered an awful lot today, and I realize that it's a head-splitting amount of information, but I feel that it's really important for you guys to at least see it and be exposed to it. So if you're feeling like it was a little bit too much to take in today, that's why we're videotaping all this stuff so that you can go back and look at those videos later. You're like, wait, I remember we did something like that in that class. I can go back now and use that as reference to figure out how to do it again. So don't feel discouraged if you got caught up on anything or if it was a little bit over your head. Hopefully you can go back and figure that out. And if you do have questions, feel free to get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to talk more about this stuff with you. So some of the resources we've put together for making your life easier for using GIS at your garden or for whatever you're going to be using it for. The Alliance for Public Gardens GIS website is your primary source for information. We're slowly putting more and more on there, and it will continue to grow with resources for getting this stuff done. We have a Google group that we've established so that you can join through the Alliance website. There are a couple different spots where you can join. I think it says join right on the main page. And the Google group is kind of a forum for people to bounce questions off of each other. And I also use it as a method for getting information out. So if we have a new version of the data model or a new resource available for you guys, I'll make an announcement through that group. So you can subscribe to that, and you can set it up so that you just get like an email once a week with a summary of what's going on if you don't like your email box to be too clogged. So there's lots of different ways to participate in that. We have a Twitter feed going right now, so I also make announcements for that. And as you know, Twitter, it's really short and to the point, so I'll make quick little blurbs on there to distribute information. And then we also have the RSS feed. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those, but you can, if you use like Outlook or other kind of mail programs, you can subscribe to these RSS feeds, and you'll get a message that kind of like will be delivered as I make an update to our news section of our site. It will let you know. So there's lots of different ways to get involved. Even one more, we have a LinkedIn group that is very similar to the Google group, but it's a little bit different. So if you're a member of LinkedIn, which is kind of a professional like version of Facebook in a way, we have a lot of the same information on there. People do post news articles and have discussions about things on there. And then we're slowly developing this YouTube channel where we're going to be posting a lot of videos. So we're making a video training series that is somewhat similar to some of the content you've covered today, that will have tutorial videos on how to do certain little tasks that are common for botanic gardens. So one of the best things that we have going for our community is this really gracious grant program that's a partnership between Esri and APGA. And now, is there anything special that we need to know about this? Because I know that that grant program is kind of at its review point, I think.
Yeah, essentially. So, just to keep things updated, Esri actually has several grant programs, and so for a long time, there's been this thing called the Esri Conservation Grant Program. And so I know some of you have acquired something like that. And 3 years ago, entered into kind of a variation on that with the APGA, and that's what is kind of the process we introduced. And then the time since that, we started yet another. So all of this to say, there are plenty of opportunities for you to get software grants, and rather than me trying to explain it all now, I have business cards here, so it would be easier to just talk to you one-on-one, figure out what you need. Just depending on if you're just getting started versus if you've had GIS for a while, one or the other grant program might be a better fit. So,
Right.
like I said, we can get you the software you need. It's probably easier to do it in one-on-one consultation.
Yeah, talk to Angie. She'll help you out.
We'll be, at the meeting at APGA exhibits for the next 3 days. So, thanks, man. Catch up.
And there's also the summary information and links to the applications for the major grant programs through the Alliance for Public Gardens GIS website. So you can go on there and link to stuff if you want to just find out more information on your own. So there's some information here about the grant program between Esri and APGA, which has been the kind of the primary one for the last couple years. But the main idea is that you can get the software that you want, you can get training and books and things like that through Esri, and you get registration at the user conference, which is a pretty awesome experience for being able to see into the world of GIS. So right now we have a grant going at the UC Davis Arboretum that's kind of been on hold a little bit while I've been working at the Arnold Arboretum, but basically that grant is to provide resources for you guys and to get you guys going. One of them has been to develop our website, which is slowly starting to come together. Develop some social networking sites, which is the LinkedIn site, and some of that other stuff that I was talking about. We're trying to put together some materials that are designed for helping you guys make the case to your directors or the people holding the purse strings that GIS is something that's worth investing in and that they're going to get a good return out of investment on it. We're putting together a book or user guide essentially for GIS that kind of takes you through the process of a lot of the stuff that we did today, all the way through the final endpoint of maybe getting your stuff out on the web, but in a lot more detail and can serve as kind of a step-by-step guide. We're working on a model volunteer program that is designed to help you guys get free help to do this. These mapping projects can be really large, and volunteers are a great way to do it. So we're working on that. We're also working on a professional services program, is what we're calling it, that essentially links gardens up with GIS professionals who are looking to do some kind of volunteer work, so you can get really trained GIS people to help you out. And then those training videos I mentioned and today's workshop are all part of that grant program. Any questions? Well, thank you all so much for coming. I hope that you guys got a fair amount out of it, and I hope I didn't hurt your heads too much. Yeah, if you have any questions, of course, I'll be here for a little while, and you can feel free to contact me at any point. I'd love to help you guys out. So, thank you.
I'm just curious, after this day of workshop, by a show of hands, how many people here feel this is way too technical, we'll never do this, versus we're doing it? So who thinks it's way too technical? Who's in?
Who's too shy to answer?
I just want to say that the setup is the hardest part, and then we're set up and we're going, and I have GIS interns and volunteers, because mostly maintenance is what you're doing when gardens are renovated, when new plants are put in, and then we have a garden renovation that's happening, and in an hour, I was able to create a huge, beautiful map for the landscape architects that said, these are the plants that can go, these are the plants you can't touch. You know, and my boss looked at it and looked at our director and said, this is when GIS really pays off. I also worked on a grant where we did a tree assessment of all of the trees in the Arboretum and their health, and I did all these analyses with GIS and created, you know, a 300-page document that's a long-range conservation plan for the trees in the Arboretum, and it's basically just a book of grants. Like, this needs to get done, this needs to get done, this needs to get done. So it's a lot of future money, you know, all based on GIS analysis, improved with data. So it's good. It's my Go GIS rant.
Woo!
Thanks, Ian. Just a couple words to close. I want to thank you all for attending today. Ron and I will be putting together a survey that we will email you, and we really appreciate your feedback on the workshop just so we can continue to make improvements. And we hope to work together to kind of take the next step with this workshop and put together an intermediate level. So, you know, building on this beginner's guide workshop, kind of take the next step with this training.
If you thought the beginner workshop was hard, wait till you see the intermediate one. Just kidding.
And I'd like to thank Mia and Angie for your expertise. Thanks for being here. So, we've got 2 more prizes. So. 605. $594. The hat is still available. The hat and that thermal.
I think you got the best one.
That is, I would have chose that
Love
one.
it. Someone never go where we live or where I live. Where you will live again.
Yeah. No, it would, yeah.
Human enough.
You get off the plane, it would die.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, good. I'm glad.
I passed along that agreement to our
Okay.
logo police.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be months, maybe years.
You know,
before
I don't
they
really,
tweak it.
I don't really care as long as you're okay with giving me some
Yeah, I mean,
information at the end
of
and
day,
forget about
we'll
it.
give
Yeah,
you
that's
the
fine.
feedback.
That's all it's for.
It's so funny because
Good.
they're not, it's so insignificant for them. It's gonna take them like a year.
Because it's not a priority. Yeah.
It's gonna take them a year.
I don't care. I don't
to
really
relook
care.
at it. But the problem is if you don't send it to them,
Right.
and then they're on.
They
get
catch
the
wind of
Google
it or
alerts,
whatever.
and
Yeah.
It says Smithsonian is now on
Right.
this website, and they go to it, and then
Yeah.
then they get angry, but they won't.